Hello everyone, my name is Craig Adler. I'm a retired certified financial planner. I am also sometimes known as the Angry Financial Planner. I am angry because we have made personal finance far too complicated. I have started this channel to address that concern. Today, I'm going to be showing you a very basic, simple, but at the same time incredibly effective way to answer the question, can I retire? To do that, I'm going to start by giving you the framework of what we need to address that question, and then I'm going to create an example so that we can apply what we learned. So the framework basically has 4 steps. The first step is we need to estimate how much money we are going to spend in retirement. Everyone always asks me, how am I going to have any idea how much money I'll be spending during my retirement years? Well, the single best way of determining how much money we are going to be spending tomorrow is to look at how much money we are spending today. What I need you to do is to track your expenses. And hopefully you're going to do this for at least 3, 4, or 5 years before you retire. This is not a budgeting activity. I do not need 100 different categories, but I do need you to categorize the expenses as either essential or non-essential. Essential expenses, things like living, transportation, health insurance. Non-essential, things like travel, dining out, and entertainment. So step number 1 is we need to estimate our expenses in retirement. Step number 2 is we need to determine our safe and secure income during our retirement years. For most of us, that will be Social Security. Some of you might have a pension. Some of you might have gone out and bought a private annuity. Some of you might have rental property. Whatever safe and secure income items you have, that will be included in this total. One point I do want to make is do not include any investments like bonds or stocks, even if their income is safe and secure. That is going to go into another category. Step number 3, which is the critical step, I need you to estimate, or I need you to calculate what is called your income gap. Your income gap is nothing more than the difference between step number 1 and step number 2. So as an example, if I have $20,000 of annual expenses and $15,000 of safe and secure income, my income gap would be $5,000. My income gap is nothing more than a measure of how much money I need from my investments to fill the shortfall from my secure income. Step number 4 is I need you to total the value of all of your retirement accounts. So that's the basic framework. We're going to estimate our retirement expenses. We are going to determine our safe and secure income. Step number 3 is a calculation to determine the income gap. And in step number 4, we look at the relationship of the income gap to the value of our total investments. So that's the framework that we're going to use. I am now going to create an example that will tie all of this together and make everything crystal clear. In this example, I have estimated my total retirement expenses, and those total retirement expenses are $70,000 a year. I have also determined my safe and secure income, and my safe and secure income is $30,000 a year. When I total the value of all of my retirement accounts, the total value is $480,000. What I want you to do now is, looking at these facts, I want you to answer the question, should I retire? Why or why not? Go ahead and pause the video because I would like you to take a few minutes to try to figure this out on your own. Welcome back. The answer to the question is this. I absolutely should not retire, and here is the reason why. The value of my income gap is $40,000. That's my estimated expenses of $70,000 minus my safe and secure income of $30,000 tells me that my income gap is $40,000. When I look at the relationship of my total investments to my income gap, this tells me that I am going to run out of money in 12 years. It doesn't make sense. I'd be taking too much longevity risk if I were to retire today. In a perfect situation, this is what you would want to see. For an acceptable plan, you would want to have enough investments to cover 20 years of the income gap. For a very good plan, you would want to have enough investments to cover 25 years of the income gap. And for an outstanding or excellent plan, you would have enough investments to cover 30 years of the income gap. But now I want to look at this from a slightly different perspective. Remember, when I said to you, when you are going to estimate your expenses in retirement, you need to categorize those expenses as both essential and non-essential. What we are going to do now is we are going to look at a second example. Everything about this second example is the exact same as the first. The only difference is this. I have now broken down my $70,000 of total expenses into $40,000 of essential expenses and $30,000 of non-essential expenses. I'm now going to pose the same question to you. And that question is, can I retire now? Once again, go ahead and pause the video and think about the answer to this question on your own. Welcome back. I hope you came up with the same answer, but I realize this problem could be a little bit more difficult. The answer to the question now is this. Technically, I could retire. And here is the reason why. My essential expenses are $40,000 a year. I have $30,000 of safe and secure income. What that means is this. I only need $10,000 a year to cover my essential expenses. That means I have enough money in retirement savings to cover 48 years of essential expense coverage. So think about this for 1 second. Think about what you just did for me. You looked at my retirement plan and you initially told me that I should not retire. And the reason you told me that I should not retire is that I am going to run out of money in 12 years. And that was the correct response. But you didn't stop there. You then looked at my expenses in more detail and you said to me, you said, hey, look, if you are willing to give up a great deal of your non-essential if you are willing to give up a great deal of your non-essential expenses, you could retire. Are you willing to make that sacrifice? So think about this for 1 second. If you could do that for me, what would be stopping you from doing that for yourself? The answer is absolutely nothing. Let me share a very short story with you. At least once a week, someone would come to me, show me all of their financial accounts, and then ask me, can they retire? I would always ask that person the same question. And that question is, how much money are you spending on an annual basis? 95% of the time, the answer to that question was always the same, and that was, I don't know. Knowing your annual expenses is the most important. It is the most critical step to understanding your overall retirement plan and the strength of that plan. Also, by knowing the breakdown between essential and non-essential expenses, that will greatly increase the flexibility you have with the plan itself. You need to know how much money you are spending before you start retirement. I am committed to creating educational videos that are designed to improve your financial literacy. But I need your help as well. If you are enjoying my videos, please support the channel by subscribing. And remember, when it comes to our money, it is always better to be educated than angry.